Hello, it's a privilege to come your way today. My name is Christopher Obebo, and today I'll be discussing empowered to become. And the focus today will be on a touch of the supernatural. I've done a series on empowered to become where I spoke about some elements of power. Elements of power being things that helps a person to become what they were ordained to be. One of the elements of power I spoke about was relationship. The other element of power was time and chance. The other element of power is equally about talent and skills. Today, talking about empower to become, the element of being empowered to become today will be a touch of the supernatural. And the text will still be the book of Luke, chapter 1, from verse 30 to 35, particularly verse 35, where Mary asked the angel, "How can this thing be, seeing that I know not a man?" And the angel Gabriel replied that the Spirit of God will come upon thee, and the power of the highest will overshadow thee, so that that holy thing that shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God of the highest. So, in summary, the angel was telling Mary that you will be empowered. It is that power that will come upon you that will help you to become what I have said concerning you. And that's because, to a large extent, your becoming will not be by human effort alone. That is not saying there will be no place for human effort, but to think that human effort alone is all that is required for your becoming is actually a joke. So your becoming will not be by human effort alone. It would also be dependent on power. And that just should let you know that there is more to life than meet the eye. Life is indeed spiritual. Now, irrespective of the means by which you discovered what you were ordained to be, whether you discovered it by inward intuition or self discovery or through the counsel of others, or even by vision or divine illumination, one thing is sure: you will suddenly realize your inadequacies. Your inadequacies that, oh, this vision, this discovery, this purpose, my human effort alone cannot make it a reality. And that was the point that Mary reached when she asked the angel, "How can these things be, seeing that I know not a man?" And the angel's reply can be summarized in three words: you will be empowered. You will be empowered. Now, if you will not seek empowerment, if you will not seek to be empowered, either because you felt that you have arrived, you felt that you have achieved enough, you felt that you are contented with where you are, at least seek to be empowered because of the many lives, the many destinies that are connected to you. Life that will be liberated when you rise. Destinies that will be manifested when you take your rightful place in life. And that's why I agree with the late Dr. Miles Moreau when he posited that the richest place in the world is actually the cemetery, because there in the cemetery you have many songs that were not written. You have many songs that were not composed. You have many books that were not written. You have many ideas, that many innovations that were not brought into reality. You have many statements that were not made. You have many intentions that were not carried out. You have many companies that were not battered. You have many things that could have brought betterment to the human race, but they were not done. Buried in the cemetery with the owner, with the ones who are supposed to bring those things into reality. And that's because fulfilling destiny is power dependent. Fulfilling destiny, becoming what you ordained to be, is largely power dependent. Spiritual power is required, economic power is required, mental power is required, relational or social power is required, physical power is required, just as financial power is equally required. Fulfilling destiny is what? Is power dependent. I want you to take note of that. Now, Mary, Jesus' mother, was not the only virgin in her time. There were actually many of them. In fact, in the time that she lived in, it was a commonplace then for a young lady to remain chaste until she got married. So, her conception and birth of the Messiah was power induced because she said, how can these things be? Say, I don't know a man. So, for her to be able to conceive, having been a virgin, and to be able to carry the Messiah and deliver him, that needs to be done by power. And you too, you are equally supposed to birth. You are supposed to conceive on your womb as a man, as a woman, and bring forth something that will make life better. You are to birth and bring forth your destiny so that as you bring forth that destiny, other lives too, other destinies too, we experience deliverance because your destiny came to fruition. And that's because your placement in this world at this time is for a purpose. But if you are still struggling to find your foot, if you are still struggling to find balance, how would you even discover purpose? Let alone to decide to pay the sacrifice of fulfilling them. You see, it is good to have a burden for something, but when you carry the burden for something without the power component to deliver that thing, then that burden will break you. So, burden without power will just break you down. It is not enough to be passionate about your purpose. You need power to push that purpose forth into reality. Yeah, there's been so much talk about being passionate, and I agree with that. But it is not enough to be passionate about a purpose. It is not enough to be zealous about a purpose. You must also possess the power component to push forth that purpose on the inside of you that you are passionate about into reality. And that's why I say you need power. And when I say you need power, it cuts across every aspect of human endeavor. It is not only the pastor, it is not only the clergy, it is not only the preacher that needs power. The businessman needs power. The educator needs power. The creatives they need power. The administrator needs power. Of course, someone like Daniel and Joseph, they were administrators in their day, and some of the issues that they had to address face to face were issues that require power, wisdom, power and wisdom. If power was not there, they would have messed up, and that would have brought their reign, their time in authority would have been messed up. As a king and as a queen, you need power. As a parent, you need power to be able to effectively carry out your parenting role. So, as an administrator, you need power. It does not matter the field you are working in, you are being called into, you need power. Please, I need that one to register in your mind that you need power because there are unique things that you are supposed to bring forth in that your peculiar field that will bring a blessing to human race. But without power, you will not be able to bring those things forth. And I'll give a practical example here. Evangelist Royal Bonke of blessed memory, when he arrived in Lesotho as a young missionary, he preached to a small crowd. And even though he had passion and sincerity, the results were very minimal. And this discouragement drove him to seek the face of God to become empowered. And the testimonies are there for the world to see. And even though the man has transited to the great beyond, the legacy of his impact still abides with us till today. Power is important. You need to be empowered. Zechariah chapter 4 verse 6. Zechariah chapter 4 verse 6. The Bible says, not by power, not by might. Power there was making reference to human effort. So which means human effort has a role to play, like I mentioned. Human might has a role to play. But as beautiful as knowing that these things have roles to play are, they are not sufficient enough to get the job done. So the Bible says, not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. There are things that, as important as human power and abilities are, they cannot do. They are limited. And what will make the difference is therefore the touch of the supernatural. And that's why, like I said before, I want to repeat that life is indeed spiritual. Now, talking about the supernatural, there are basically two access to the supernatural. There is the divine way to access the supernatural, and then there's also the diabolic way to access the supernatural. The focus today is on the divine way, but I need to mention that there are people who even know that life is deeply spiritual, have sought to access the supernatural but by diabolical means. The difference between the divine way of accessing the supernatural as well as the diabolic way of accessing the supernatural is this. In the divine way, you need to pay the price, and the Almighty God will have to vet your heart to see that you really merit what it is that you are demanding for. And that will take a while, but it will surely come. But the average human being is not patient for that. They want the quick fix one, the one they'll get at the tip of their finger, which is what the enemy offers, the devil offers through the diabolical way. But the diabolical way will cost. It will cost your life here in this present world, and it will cost you eternity. That's why the Bible says the blessings of the Lord, they make rich and add no sorrow. If you are to look at that in the converse way, it means that the blessing of the devil will add sorrow to it. So I want you to understand that seeking to be empowered the divine way has lasting impact, has lasting benefit. It has lasting impact and has lasting benefit because after all is said and done, what makes the difference is power. You could be enlightened. You could be wise, you could be knowledgeable, you could be a person of understanding. You could have quality relationship that can help you to become what you were ordained to be. You may have made maximum use of time and the chance that comes your way. You may have talent and you may have become skillful in the talent. Yet without this touch of the supernatural, all this wonderful investment would yield very minimal result. Will yield very minimal result. Now the question is, how can one access the supernatural, particularly the divine supernatural? Now there are several ways that can be done, but I don't want to focus on that today. I want to just focus on one of the ways, which for me I would describe as hunger and a willingness to pay the price. It is one thing to be hungry, to be empowered, to have desire to be empowered. It is another thing to be willing to pay the price. It is this second part, willingness to pay the price, that is actually missing. People have desire, but they don't want to pay the price. And if you want to get it the God way, you need to pay the price. The book of Isaiah 55 verse 1, Isaiah 55 verse 1, the Bible says, everyone that thirsts, come to the waters. He that hath no money, come buy and drink. Buy wine and milk without money and without price. You have to come. It is one thing to be desirous, to be hungry, but you have to make the step to come. And you have to come and bend down. Pay the sacrifice of bending down to what? To fetch. Bending down to scoop. Bending down to get what you need. That bending down there is figurative. It can mean several things for several persons. Hunger and the willingness to pay the price will carve a unique pathway for you in your journey to being empowered. As a matter of fact, the touch of the supernatural is the icing on the cake as far as empowerment is concerned. And I don't want to go on and on and on in telling you how you can access the power, what you need to access the power, what will be the benefit of you accessing the power. The benefits are limitless. It's like an ocean that cannot be exhausted. It is as you get yourself involved in the journey and the benefit begins to come your way, you will now realize that there's actually more to this than meet the eye. So, what will sustain your becoming, your being empowered to become, is power, and you need to make decision to pay the price today, beginning from now. As you desire, as you become hungry, and you begin to pay the price, there will be specific instructions, specific to your assignment, specific details that matters to you uniquely, that will be unveiled to you. I'm saying specific because everyone has different assignment. So the details for Mr. A will not be for Mrs. B. That for Mrs. C will not be for Mrs. D. So, but hunger and a willingness to pay will begin to carve a niche for you, a unique way for you to know what is required to become. And I encourage you to stick to that, and your becoming is a reality. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.